Item number 3, consider and take necessary action to approve revisions to the Smith County Commissioners Court Rules of Decorum. This is one I will turn over to Mr. Wilson here in 1 minute. We've been talking about that internally, he and I, for some time now, and we knew that we needed to change up and kind of update some of our rules of decorum in our Commissioners Court proceedings according to some new legislation, and then also as a result of just finding best practices, making sure we're doing the best practices. And so, Mr. Wilson, if you go over those changes that we're going to be proposing today for the rules of decorum changes.
Yes, Judge and Commissioners. The original rules of decorum were set back in, I believe, it was 2010, if I recall. It was when we last updated these. Since then, there have been some legislative changes that do require some action on your part. One of that, and you should have before you the current updated rules of decorum, which include Section 4, which talks about public comment. One of the changes on the public comment that we've included is a change to incorporate the statutory language of 551.007, which provides that a court or a governmental body shall not prohibit certain public criticism of actions taken by the body. And that is actually, that was spelled out in the last legislative session. We've been following that, but we just needed to update our rules of decorum. Another change is to authorize public comment on specific agenda items. So we've incorporated that into our rules as well. We've also changed Section 5 to include defining what the presiding officer is and who the presiding officer is. Typically, that's the county judge. However, there are certain mechanisms that the rules of decorum govern in the absence of the county judge. And then finally, we've incorporated some changes regarding the press and the media that we did not previously have in there, that we included. And it's the same rules that we followed currently: the space in the back and the rear of the room, and you can't block the public's view and whatnot. So those are some of the changes that we've made to the rules of decorum. And do you have any questions?
Questions on those changes? If not, along with that is a new public participation form that we put together that's a little bit more streamlined. There was some information that was requested on the old form that is not really needed. And then we wanted to be clear about some of the rules and just make it a little bit easier for folks to fill that out. So that's a new public participation form that we'll have both online again and in the rear of the room. Are there questions about either one of those?
Judge, I just wanted to ask, I know previously people could speak on future agenda items, and I know that doesn't seem to be in this particular.
No.
And if that's the case, then how can our public go about possibly getting something on the agenda that they're interested in? Do we have a process for that?
We do, and that's a really great question, because that is the new decorum rules that are being proposed today really are in line with like what the city of Tyler does with their meetings, where we're asking the public only to speak on the agenda items that are actually set. The purpose of a Commissioners Court meeting is to deliberate and decide on matters of county business that the public has had prior notice of. And so it becomes difficult when we're over time where we have speakers that talk about things that we don't have prior notice of. We're not able to engage in a conversation with them. Facts may be incorrect, but we can't fact check everything from the bench on the immediacy of that issue. The way to go about that is to contact your commissioners, because a commissioner has the right to set an agenda item on the agenda and or item. So that's the mechanism. If a member of the public wants something on the agenda and it's needed to be on the agenda, then they can go through any one of you and speak to you about that issue. And then if it is in fact ripe for decision or ripe for a deliberation, then any one of you can put that on the agenda. And that's the mechanism that they need to go through to get a future agenda item placed here. And that, that helps us to avoid incorrect facts and false narratives and false information that's out there, or inability to discuss an issue on the spot. It helps us actually prepare and have a meaningful conversation in this particular setting.
And what these changes really do is they balance the public's right to speak with governmental efficiencies and the governmental body's efficiencies, as well as the open meetings requirement. Because as y'all are well aware, there are provisions of the Open Meetings Act that have criminal sanctions that go along with them if you violate them. And if you start to speak or take an action on an item that is not properly posted on the agenda, then that will be problematic for the county. And if someone brings up an issue that we are not able to respond to accurately, and they're able to provide inaccurate information, then it really inhibits the government's ability to provide the necessary information to the public that they need so that they can make informed decisions as well.
This seems to be something that will assist us in things that aren't in our jurisdiction as well, and oftentimes that's the case.
Other questions or comments? All right, if there are none, is there a motion to approve revisions to the Smith County Commissioners Court Rules of Decorum and adopt the same, including the new public participation form? Motion by Commissioner Hampton. Second by Commissioner Phillips. Any further discussion? All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? That item passes unanimously. That